My first view of Melbourne was from 50 feet on a misty morning in the spring of 1863. As a working dog, I had travelled halfway around the world from Sussex, where I was born, to Sydney, where I helped any good cause that could use a St. Bernard dog who weighed 180 pounds. Now it was time for a holiday in Melbourne, the southern capital, which is at its most beautiful in the spring. Here it was I met my hostess, Miss Jennifer Perry, who was to attend to my modest requirements. Half a gallon of fresh milk with my morning eggs, and a mere 8 pounds of steak for my supper. Miss Perry had to go shopping, but for me, I could hardly wait to see the sights and to sniff the smells of this great new city. A bridge like Sydney, the Statue of Liberty, an Eiffel Tower. However, I found Melbourne does have its own special landmarks, such as the Sydney Mire Music Bowl with its aluminium shell supported by strong steel cable. In the same belt of gardens is another landmark, the Shrine of Remembrance, erected to commemorate the fallen of World War I. Here, a shaft of light will fall across the Rock of Remembrance at exactly the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of every year for the next 5,000 years. It's always an attraction to visitors. Every pilgrim to Melbourne must pay homage to the paddock that grew into the Melbourne cricket ground, also the scene for the 1956 Olympic Games. And every year it is packed with 100,000 fans for the grand final of the Australian rules football. Here was a chance to tread the sacred turf where Victor Trumper, Dr. W.G. Grace, Sir Donald Bradman, and the other great giants made cricket history. Here was created the bodyline controversy. Another shrine at which many worship is the old Princess Bridge Hotel, known all over the world as Young and Jackson's. Everybody goes to see Chloe. Why should I be an exception? She was a sensation in 1888. They paid £14,000 for her. Chloe has a timeless charm, and so has the product I represent. It didn't take long to discover that Melbourne's a friendly place. I was asked the most personal questions such as, how much do I weigh? How old am I? I was even asked, how much do I eat? Ah, well, it was all good fun. It had been a long day, and Miss Perry thought it was time for us to make tracks for home. In half an hour, we'd left the busy streets and freeways behind and reached the gently rolling countryside of southern Victoria. This was to be my home for the next fortnight. Near enough to Melbourne to see its lights, yet far enough out to enjoy a run in the paddocks. However, the first thing I needed was a drink. The other guests greeted me with mixed feelings and a lot of noise. Talk about a royal welcome. My new home was suddenly a flurry of dashing canines, jumping hither and thither. I don't think they'd ever met another dog before quite as big as I am. But eventually, they did settle down. The Labrador puppies took it very calmly, and Francois and the goat looked inscrutable. And so, my first day ended in a nice clean bed of straw. The next morning, my official duty was to visit the Royal Melbourne, and Miss Perry spent hours on my toilet. Mind you, I'm not really complaining. Oh. Anyway, at last she seemed satisfied and I was ready to face the judges. And if my knees knocked a little, well, who could blame me? No one was surprised when I won the championship. Really surprised. After all, there were no other St. Bernard dogs entered. Confidentially, one of my main jobs in Australia is to try and be a daddy. Improving the breed, you know. Not hard for a gay young dog like me. Of course, you can't expect a fellow to go to the show without a little relaxation. And England still has the same fascination as everywhere else in the world. Once I got on it, they found it hard to get me off. If it's one thing I do like, it's going for rides. The show is a combination of a state fair, a Calgary stampede, and a trek exhibition. Of course, I wanted to see it all. Everybody seems happy, thirsty, hungry, and tired, but the people of Victoria wouldn't miss it for anything. Neither would I. There was a diabolical invention called the Mad Mouse, designed to disprove Newton's laws of motion. Oh, whose idea was this anyway? Oh well, here we go. Shiver me timbers. Help, pussycats. Bye-bye lunch. Get me off this inhabited accent. Help! Oh, help! Oh, well, in this case, what went up did at last come down. It certainly was a relief to relax in the Botanical Gardens. Planned and laid out by Baron von Müller, the great botanist, who spent some of his time scattering blackberry seeds in the Dandenong Ranges for the benefit of poor people. That was a nice thought, I think. Personally, I found these botanical gardens in Melbourne quite one of the most charming gardens I had seen yet in my world travels. So much to see and so many lovely trees to investigate. The century of TLC has made them what they are today. TLC, oh, that's Australian for tender, loving care. never know what you'll find in the lady's handbag. Well, talking of trees reminds me, I wanted to make a personal investigation of the tallest trees in the world. A real dog's paradise by all accounts. Eucalyptus regnans or mountain ash can be found as close as 20 miles from Melbourne in the Sherbrooke Forest. A favorite place for a picnic. A band of enthusiasts who love playing trains revived this old railway to once more through the Dandenong Ranges. For many years, the track was on stock lay rusting at Fern Tree Gully. But voluntary workers put it in order again, and riding in Puffing Billy is now a regular treat for thousands of school children. And for one St. Bernard dog. Come with me for a quick trip. To be in Melbourne without seeing Port Phillip Bay would be to miss that broad expanse of water where Jock Sturrock, skipper of Gretel, learned to handle the tiller. Of course, it's not always as calm as this. In fact, a stiff breeze and there's a treacherous, choppy sea in no time. Now, let's get back to terra firma. I said terra firma, Mr. Cameraman. Thank you. By now, my appointment book was becoming so crowded I could scarcely fit in a modeling assignment I had with some of the dancers from the Victorian Ballet Guild. They were rehearsing for a revival of Delibes' Sylvia. This was a funny scene for me, a cameraman photographing a camera. However, yes, I'm doing very nicely indeed, thank you, Jack. Then a famous cartoonist from the Melbourne Herald wished to draw my portrait. But there are limits to what a gentleman can tolerate, and I left him in no doubt as to what I thought. Do I really look like that? Before I knew it, I was asked to open a popular television program called In Melbourne Tonight, so I performed my little trick of taking a load off my feet and placing it on someone else's show. One of the nicest things that happened was when one of our agents in Melbourne decided that I could give a contribution to the spastic children. We left the office, but I was momentarily deceived by a cast iron light pole. Fiendishly clever, these Victorians. My fellow worker at Marathon, the Spastic Children's School, was Miss Australia, who is chosen each year as part of a fundraising program. The children and I certainly got on well together. They showed none of the fear other kiddies developed when they met such a big, hairy playmate. In Melbourne's tallest building, there was more business to attend to. I couldn't see the necessity for a lead development association. Surely canines spend enough time on the lead as it is. Oh, well, the girls tried to stop me, but I was determined to see the boss about this lead development business. Hey, I've got a bone to pick with you. Oh, well, turned out to be not lead, but lead and zinc. Oh, what a relief. After dark, Melbourne comes to life in a very cosmopolitan way. Every year, the local dress designers like to show what they can do, and the best station is known as the gown of the year. To many, of course, the finest fashion creation is the heavenly body. Trends in fashion will not change this shape. The biggest attraction is the Spring Racing Carnival. And in the carnival, the greatest race of all is the Melbourne Cup at Flemington. People travel thousands of miles to see it. A whole shipload of racing fans arrived from New Zealand. Actually, I was not interested in betting, and I preferred to listen to the Royal Australian Air Force Band, or just to mingle with the crowd. As usual, I created some interest. But the magic hour of 3 p.m. arrived, and they're off. After the Cup, my girlfriend took me to Melbourne's newest hotel, the Southern Cross, to share a glass of beer. What's this? Is it Nemesis approaching? No, it can't be true. It can't be true. The jealous husband. Well, a gentleman always knows when to make a dignified exit. Back to the doghouse. After all, every holiday must come to an end sometime, and mine finished on Cup night when the festivities were at their peak. I know I caught only a glimpse of a great metropolis. I met only a fraction of its people. Only about 10,000 children patted me. But Melbourne made me very welcome, and to me, it will always be a city of sweet smells and tall trees.